Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Most weight loss plans are one size fits all, not taking into account each person's individual needs. Noom is here to change that. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain. But it also takes into account your unique biological factors, which also affect weight loss success. The program helps you understand the science behind your eating choices and why you have cravings. Everyone's journey is different, so your daily lessons are personalized to you and your goals. One of the great things about Noom is that it's nourishing instead of restrictive. They focus on progress instead of perfection. You don't have to give up carbs, or anything for that matter. Have cravings? Food FOMO? Noom can help you lose weight while still enjoying your favorite foods. To date, Noom has helped more than 5.2 million people lose weight. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm just going to adjust myself. Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. This is the show where we talk real talk about things that are happening in education, employment, mental health, social services, finances, families, or anything else that is steaming. So today I am excited about today because today is a unique episode for us at Hot Topics, and it's a unique episode for us. So today I am going to talk to someone else in the tutoring business, and we're going to talk about tips and tricks and how we got started and all that. So this is a first for me. We're going to talk about the tutoring business, and I am excited to be having that conversation. So, which brings me to the topic for today, which is Talking with Tutors, Part 1. So there's a Part 2 coming up. That's why it says Part 1. But yes, so this is the show where we are going to be talking about the tutoring business as a whole. And I am excited to be having this conversation with a fellow colleague. So I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. So let's get right to it. So who is going to sit on the hot seat today? Well, let me tell you who she is. So her name is Jennifer Darieng, and she is going to be my guest for today. So let's get right into it. Who is Jennifer Darieng? Let me tell you who she is. So Jennifer Darieng lives in northeastern North Carolina. She's married and has 2 children who are both in their 20s. She's a graduate of Old Dominion University and Concordia University, and she has been working in the education field for over 20 years. She opened her business, Star Rise Tutoring LLC, in 2018, and it has been a dream come true. She mainly works with children who need additional support with reading and writing skills. When she's not tutoring, she enjoys reading, journaling, planning, and spending time outdoors. Awesome. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her to the stage right now. Hey, Jennifer, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm glad that you're here. It's nice to talk to a fellow entrepreneur in the, not just any entrepreneur, but someone in the tutoring business. So I wanted to, talk tutoring top shop with you. So I'm very much looking forward to this conversation.
I am too.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. So let's start with a simple one. So what made you get into tutoring?
Well, I've been tutoring in some form or another since the late 90s. I pretty much just started tutoring when I was a classroom teacher just to make some extra money. So it was always something I did part time. And I kind of did it off and on for almost 20 years before deciding, hey, I think this is something I want to do full time or that I can do full time.
So why tutoring? Why not teaching at a school?
Well, to me, it's the flexibility that tutoring brings. It's really cool to be able to set your own schedule. I'm more of a night person, a little bit of a night owl, so I really enjoy starting working with my students usually in the late afternoons and working till later in the night. So it's really cool being able to control your own schedule. And then probably the biggest part though is just that it really gives me this opportunity to connect with students individually. And I can spend so much time with them like one-on-one and really get to know them and really personalize my lessons. It just gives me just a lot more freedom, a lot more like personal attention, I guess you would say, that I couldn't do so much in a classroom with, 30 kids.
Right. That's the downside to being a teacher is you have
Yeah.
all these kids and you have to deal with all these different personalities and learning styles all at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to tutoring, it's really just like one or a handful of kids.
Right. You can really, focus in when you're able to have just one child at a time or a small group. It just, you can get to know them so much better and then kind of figure out what makes them tick, hopefully figure that out pretty quickly and then, help them with their skills and their confidence. And it's just, such a great feeling.
Absolutely. It's always a great feeling when you see them figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like they were struggling before, and then you share your knowledge and you show them what you know, and then a light bulb goes off in
That,
their head.
that aha moment, where you see it and it's so wonderful to see it. And, because they're, when a student or a parent, approaches you and says, okay, my child needs some extra help. Um, it takes a little while to kind of figure out what exactly, you know, where the problem is. Do they just need a little bit of motivation? Do they just need to learn to understand like um, some, the different structure of an essay? Like what are the little things, that are making them tick, or what's causing the problem where they're not getting the grade that they really want to be getting? And then when you figure that out and you can really, personalize those lesson plans and kind of meet them right where they're at, it just, to me, like I said, it's been a dream come true because I enjoy that so much.
Of course, of course. So you said before that it was a side hustle for you, and then you decided to turn it into a business.
Yeah, I started, gosh, I mean, it was in the late 90s, just tutoring part time. And then I really enjoyed it. Of course, that was before the online um, environment, so tutoring in person, working for some well known, national tutoring companies. And then as I got into my classroom teaching career, I just kept up the tutoring, on the side. It was something I enjoyed. And of course, it was a little bit of extra money. I couldn't really think of another way that I wanted to make extra money because I love teaching so much. So I knew it needed to be related to teaching. And then, yeah, after kind of off and on here and there years of it, um, just decided in 2017, it was, I didn't open the business till 2018, but 2017, I really made the decision, like, this is something I want to work on, and do full time.
So when you say full time, I know this is kind of the funny debate I have, in that full time is like, do you actually get paid? Do you pay yourself full time,
Yeah.
or is it like I'm technically working full time hours, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily being paid full time? So when you say full time, how do you mean?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying there, because that's something I'm still working on, and after 4 years, you'd think I would have it figured out by now, but I don't. Yeah, so my actual time sitting with students, online, lesson time kind of varies between 25 and 30 hours a week for me, depending on cancellations or students adding lessons, or, just whatever's going on. Because that's the other thing about tutoring, is that you have to be very flexible as far as your schedule. So usually, yeah, actual teaching time is 25 to 30 hours a week. And then an additional 5 to 10 hours a week for me, planning, talking to parents, writing up progress reports, financial stuff. And then just, a little bit of time too, just trying to keep up with social media and things like that. And I don't personally, I can't say that I feel that I'm paying myself for those full-time hours. And so that's really one thing that I think new tutors need to really think about, and something I'm still working on, is when you set your hourly rate or your rate per lesson, you really have to figure in too the time that you're taking creating that lesson, maybe looking at work students are sending you offline, time talking to parents on the phone or emailing. Consider all that in when you set that hourly rate.
All right. Well, since you brought it up, let's get right into it. So, I don't know if you're comfortable sharing your rates.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can give a range if you want to.
Sure. Yeah, I
be
definitely
anonymous.
Yeah, I do have a bit of a range. Right now, it's between $20 and $30 per 55-minute lesson. The range is depending on.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
My rate was a little lower when I started. I came in, I think, thinking that I needed to have a lower rate in order to attract clients. That might have been the wrong way of thinking. So again, I wouldn't suggest that to new tutors coming in with their own business. So, some of my long-term clients who have been with me for 4 years now, they might pay a little bit less. They've been grandfathered in. Also, I do give a bit of a price break to I have some students who are tutoring 4 to 7 hours a week, depending on their needs. And so they have a discount for tutoring so many hours per week.
And how did you come up with those numbers for your rates?
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about where I live. When I first started, I knew I would be tutoring online, and so then I would have students, all across the country. But in my mind, I thought I would mostly have students here in my local area, and be meeting them in person. And where I live, the tutoring rate is about 20 to 25 an hour. That's kind of the going rate. I live in a very small rural community. So it's not a big city. It's not a place where you could charge $75 or $100 an hour. So I kind of looked at rates that were going, tutors in my area were charging. I talked to some tutors in my area as well. I had a lot of teacher friends who were tutoring on the side, what they were charging. And as I said, I think I might have set it a little low. And then kind of as my business grew, or I realized pretty quickly that I didn't really need to set my rate according to where I live because my students are all over the country. So you really need to set your rate looking at the national average, and also the experience and skill level that you're bringing to the table as well.
So I think you mentioned earlier that you started off in person and then you
Yeah,
switched to online.
I did. Well, when I first started tutoring, for a different company, a national, kind of chain tutoring company. I won't say any names. Back in the late 90s, it was all in person. It was before like the online tutoring really was a thing. And so my first, few years tutoring was in person. And then I kind of got into online tutoring as it became a little more prevalent. And again, that was for other companies. And then when I decided to kind of go out on my own, I was open to both, tutoring in person, which was kind of what I thought I would do more, tutoring in person locally, and then, kind of put my feelers out there to tutor online and kind of get into that. And then it's turned into where I'm tutoring 100% online now.
So did did the pandemic and COVID affect how you operate your business?
A little bit, but really, when I started off with the business and like officially opened it in 2018, I only had a couple students who I was teaching, in person. One of those students was a homeschool student, and so I wasn't really her tutor. I was more her homeschool teacher of several of her subjects, and so I was with her a good amount of the day in person. She has since, graduated and, gone off to college. But so I spent a lot of time with her at the beginning. And then I had, a couple other students that I would meet with, once or twice a week in person. And then just kind of little by little, as I found a virtual classroom that worked for me, I just kind of little by little put my feelers out there and started trying to bring on more online students because I preferred it, to be honest. Not that I don't love meeting my students in person, because I do, but working online is just easier for everybody involved. You don't have to worry about a meeting place. I'm going to meet you at the library, or I'm going to meet at their house, or you're sitting at the library and you've driven 30 minutes to this location, which you also have to figure into your fees, which was not always something I did at the time. And then, the student not show up, and then you're driving 30 minutes home. And it just, to me, online is easier for everyone all the way around. But I was almost probably about 90% online even before the pandemic hit, like through 2019. I had my homeschooled student who I was working with, and then predominantly my other students were online. So when the pandemic hit and everything suddenly went to online and I stopped seeing my students in person, it was really easy for me to switch over because I'd already set up that virtual classroom and set up kind of the way I was going to go about my virtual, tutoring lessons. So that worked, kind of flawlessly and seamlessly for me because I had already started that.
Mm. I mean, then you still have like connectivity issues and Wi-Fi issues, and because I get that a lot. How do you handle something like that?
Well, I make sure that I have if my student is old enough, I have his or her phone number. And of course, I always have the parents, phone number right on hand. So if there's any type of connectivity issue where I can't get online, or we're online, but for some reason my student can't hear me, I can call them. And usually if it's an issue where there's like just a little sound problem, we'll just use the phone. I'll just call them. And then if there's some type of connectivity issue where my student, isn't there when I log in, I reach out to the parents or reach out to the student and say, are you going to be logging in? Are you having problems with that link I sent you? But to be honest, that does not happen often. I would say over 90% of my lessons go off pretty well. I have a really nice virtual classroom platform that I use, and we very rarely have any troubles. And if there are troubles, of course, I work it out with the parent where we need to figure out how to reschedule or make sure everybody's happy and we get this taken care of.
So speaking of parents, what's that like?
I have been so fortunate. I mean, I love I love my parents. I've just been so fortunate because I've become friends with my students' parents, and it's just, as time goes on and we talk and we're talking about their child's welfare and how best to help, their son or their daughter. You really, I think the parent is pretty quick to get a sense of that. I care, I really care. I'm here to help you. And we're a team here helping with your child's education. And I have such great parents. I mean, most of my students I've been tutoring for, several years, from the beginning, or, for at least a year or more. I have long-term families, and I've made some really great friends. So I've been so fortunate with my parents.
Isn't it awesome when you have the best parents that just work with you and just don't fight you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say virtual platform, are you talking about Zoom, or what do you use for your session?
I don't use Zoom. I use a virtual platform called Electa. It's Electa, Electa. And I do have to pay for it. It's not a free platform. It's $20 a month. But the reason I use it is because it gives me it's very simple. As I've maybe kind of mentioned to you before, I'm not always the most high-tech person. So with Electa, you can download, any type of document or picture or PDF right onto a virtual like whiteboard, and then you and the student can both see it, interact on it, write on it, highlight things, erase things. All of our sound, we can see and hear each other through Electa. And then I have support if there are problems, like you had mentioned earlier, if there's some type of connectivity issue, or especially if there's an ongoing issue, there's really good support. You can put in a trouble ticket and can pretty much be certain that it's going to be taken care of within 24 hours. So that's what I've always chosen, to use after doing a little bit of research into it.
So wait, how does that work? So do your clients have to sign up to use it as well? Is it it doesn't work like Zoom where there's a link or there's a code and they put it in?
That's exactly it. I schedule the lesson, and when I schedule the lesson, I get a link, and then I email. Well, you can do it through Electa, like put their email address in, and Electa will send them the link, or you can copy the link over to an email, that you've sent the parent yourself. So I've done both. Sometimes I'll just put in the parents or the student's email, depending, on the age of the student. And Electa will send them the link and say, you have an event invitation. Your event, is, April 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then they have to log in at that time with that link. Other times I'll just copy the link and just send an email to the parent or the student and say, hey, don't forget, we have, a lesson today. It's at 4:00. Here's the link. And then the student clicks on the link and can enter into the Electa classroom.
Sounds interesting. All right.
Yeah, it works pretty well. Yeah, it works pretty well. It's worked out pretty well for us. I've looked into some other ones and haven't been as happy with them. I've done a few little trials, and this is the one that I feel, works best for me.
Good to know. Good to know. So now you have an LLC, right? So
Mhm.
do you have people working for you? Do you have staff? How does that work?
I am the only employee. I'm the owner and sole employee. I made it into an LLC. Just I felt like it offered me a few, instead of just coming in as like a sole proprietor. Um, I felt like it offered me a few more legal protections, and also that if I wanted to hire a couple additional tutors, as time went on, and that's something I haven't quite decided to do yet. I know that really to grow the business and, of course, to make more income, I would need to hire a few more tutors because I can only tutor but so many hours. Once that hour is booked, that's it. That's the money you're getting for, those 5 hours a day or 7 hours a day or, what have you. So I've thought about hiring a couple tutors to help me out, but have not taken the plunge yet.
What's holding you back?
I think there's a little bit. Well, there's two things for me. One is I think I'm a little bit of a control freak, and so since I'm the only one tutoring, I know exactly what's being said to the student, to the parents. I have control of that relationship and making sure that the parent is happy and satisfied. And if they have a question, I'm the one doing the teaching, so I can answer the question about, oh, well, this is why we're doing this, or, oh, well, this is my plan for this. And so I have a little bit of a fear, I guess, that with another tutor on, I'm not always going to know what that tutor is doing. And so then when a parent comes to me with a problem, I have to give some of that control, I guess, to the tutor. So a little bit, I guess, is just me wanting to have my hands into everything and know what's going on with all the students. My other fear is just, getting into the legal aspects of taking on an independent contractor, tax things, stuff like that. I just haven't quite decided if I really wanted to get into that. I know I could make more money, but money isn't everything to me. And I hadn't quite decided whether I really wanted to have to worry, about that too.
Yeah, sometimes you just want peace of mind.
Exactly. And that, when I started the business, that was kind of where I was going with it, after several years of teaching, classroom teaching, and just feeling a little bit burned out, that, this is such a good way to stay with my passion and helping kids, but then having that downtime and that kind of that work personal life balance that I felt like I was lacking. So that's kind of, where I am.
So let's talk about that work-life balance. How do
Mm-hmm.
you balance your business and your personal life?
Mm-hmm. For me, it hasn't been too difficult because when I started the business, both of my kids were older. I have older children, they're both in their 20s. So when I started my business, my son was already out of high school and my daughter was like a junior in high school. So
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
They were older and, pretty self-sufficient. So I was able to dedicate a lot more of my time to the business and getting it started and, finding clients and marketing and figuring out, what I was doing. I had the time for that because my kids are older. And now it really has been kind of easy for me to find a balance because I'm usually working fewer than 8 hours per day. As a teacher, as a classroom teacher, you're easily working 10 hours a day when you're considering your time at school, time, you're prepping at home, things like, extracurricular things you're in charge of as a teacher. But for me, because I wasn't juggling all that anymore and could just solely focus on my lesson plans and my students, that opened up several hours a day for me that I felt like I did have a lot more balance, where I could, go for a walk, get some exercise, make a dinner for my husband, clean up the house. So to me, it's been very freeing as far as a personal life balance since I got the business going.
Awesome. Maybe I can ask you for some advice. All right. So, what else do I want to ask? Oh, so what do you do for, how do clients reach you? Do you have a second cell phone? Do you have like a VoIP? How do you set that up in terms of where your clients are online? So how do they contact you?
They have my cell phone number. I don't have a second cell phone. They have my real life personal cell phone. I've never had an issue with that. I've, never had anyone abuse that or call me at a weird time or, like text me 20 or 30 times in a row, all mad about something. Like it's never happened. So I've never really felt like I needed a second line for the business. I do have a business email address, but it's so often I just end up reaching out to the parent using my personal email address that they have that too. Like I'm very open with my parents. I'm like, these are the hours I work. If you reach out to me, I'm going to respond to you within 24 hours, probably sooner. And it's never been an issue. They also can contact me through my website. There's a messaging, capability through my website where they could send me a message through the website if they, or especially, like somebody new who hasn't enrolled yet and is, trying to get information, they can reach me by messaging me through my website. But my email address is also on there, and on my Facebook page, that's another way they can contact me through my Facebook page. So I'm pretty open, however they want to contact me, I'll be here to get that message and to respond to them as soon as I can.
Okay. What about, do you rent your space? Do you work out of your home? What's your physical setup?
I work out of my home. I have a home office. You can probably kind of see it behind me. And that is definitely something, that I would recommend to somebody looking into, the tutoring business or even just tutoring part-time for some extra money. You definitely want a quiet, distraction-free, professional setting. So I was, able to do that in my home because I had an extra little room that I was able to convert into my office. If I didn't have that at home, I probably would have looked into maybe renting something, but luckily I had something at home. But I just think as long as you have a space where it's professional looking, around you or, relatively professional. I mean, your student knows when you're at home. My students all know that I work from home. And I'm not saying that I don't have interruptions sometimes. We have occasionally there's, the UPS guy, the UPS guy shows up or the FedEx guy and my dog is freaking out. And, my student's like, oh, is that your dog in the background? Or, or somebody, knocks on my office door. I make sure that I never have my camera facing the office door. So it's closed, which is kind of a signal to my family that I'm working. But if they did walk in,
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Student is not going to see that. So that's something that I'm real careful about, too.
Mm. Sometimes you have to be extra cautious, especially
Yeah,
with all these online sessions and things. So
exactly.
now you say you find your students all over the country. So
hmm
how does it work in terms of the time zone? How do you balance that?
hmm That for me has been really helpful because I'm on the East Coast. So I have students, I start working normally around 1 in the afternoon, depending on the day, either 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock is kind of how my schedule is working right now. I do have a homeschool student who I'm working with quite a bit in the after for me it's the afternoons, but since the student is in California, for her, it's morning time for her, so she's getting up and getting online and getting ready for a couple hours of schooling with me um, in the morning, but for me it's later in the afternoon. And then that's really worked out really great for me because I can, work with students on the East Coast on my own time, but then I might have a student, or like I do have a student in California who has lessons with me at 6 o'clock her time, but for me that's 9 o'clock. So that way I'm able to tutor all the way up until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, because for those students it's 6 or 7 o'clock at night if they're in California. So for me that gives me more flexibility. Where I was able to take, students. I didn't have to just concentrate on one area, because on the East Coast, most kids aren't going to want a 9 o'clock at night lesson. But if I could find a student who wanted a 6 o'clock lesson in California, then that gives me another hour that I can work. So for me, that's worked out really well. The only thing you have to be careful of is not mixing up your time zones and, sending a link with the wrong time. Like I have to be sure if my student is in the Central time, that I set that for Central time and don't put that on Eastern time, because then that link is going to be messed up. And I have done that. I will be honest, it's happened.
Oh my God, yeah. So you gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
Oh man. So all right, so I'm gonna ask the $6 million question. All
Okay.
right. So where do you find your clients? How do you market? Where
Yeah.
where where do you find your clients?
Yeah. Well, when I decided, okay, I'm going to tutor. I'm going to leave my classroom teaching job and I'm going to tutor. Um, I was very fortunate because several of the students who I was teaching at the time, um, when I brought up to their parents and mentioned, I'm gonna start tutoring. I'm leaving. I'm leaving and I'm going to be a tutor. I had several of my students enroll like right away and said, well, we want you to be our tutor. I had kids who were going into just starting ninth grade who wanted SAT prep. And, their parents were like, can you do SAT prep? And I said, yes. And again, this is kind of where I started with that $20 mark, where it was people I knew locally. And I felt like it was kind of a fair price. I was working at a private school at the time. And so I was not making $20 an hour. So to me, I was making a lot of money, which I know a lot of people would be like, oh no, but to me, it was more than what I was making at the time per hour, my hourly rate. So I had several students right off the bat enroll. And then I was very fortunate to know somebody also involved with the school that I was teaching at who wanted to homeschool and wanted me to homeschool her daughter, who was also just starting high school at the time. So I kind of started off right away with students who are homeschooling. It was word of mouth. It was me spreading the word, hey, I'm going to be doing this. Me spreading the word just on my personal Facebook page and just telling everybody I knew I'm going to be doing this. And it of course it took time to build up to, the 30 hours a week, that I tutor now. It took about a year to get to that. So, you definitely, when you start, you have to know you're not going to start right away, with 15 students. Well, I mean, I guess it's possible, but I didn't. That it takes time to build up. And so word of mouth, my website, I've have several students enrolled just from Googling, tutoring or tutors or whatever, and my website popping up. And then I also have a page on Thumbtack, where you can get on Thumbtack and find people who are looking for tutors, and for a fee, you can message them and hopefully they will agree to a trial lesson. And I found that if you can find someone who will agree to a trial lesson, even if it's just a 20-minute sample, usually you have a really good chance of enrolling that student. Once the parent sees how it works, usually you have a pretty good chance. So some of my students I have found that way too, through Thumbtack.
All right. And I didn't even ask you, what subjects do you tutor? What grade levels? What ages? I didn't even ask you the most basic questions.
I tutor kindergarten through adults. I've even tutored adults, who just wanted some extra, like, just brush up, on their writing skills. They were writing for work. They were finding people were, saying to them, hey, I'm not always understanding the emails you're sending me, or they missed the point of the email, or they're like, I need some help here with expressing myself better, or with punctuation even. I want to look very professional. So I would say that I specialize in grades 7 through 12 because my degree is, my bachelor's degree is in English with an emphasis in secondary education. So English skills, literature, reading comprehension, writing skills really is my specialty. But then when I went back to school a few years ago and got my master's degree in education, I did an emphasis in reading intervention. And with that emphasis, it really helped me feel like I could help younger students as well. So right now, my youngest students, and I have several of them, are second graders, and they're all kids who, through the pandemic last year, in 2021, when they were in school online for the entire year, they fell behind. The online environment, I guess, in a classroom situation, didn't work for them that well. And I have several students who were in second grade, but still reading on a kindergarten level. So we're working on it, along with their teachers now, who are just awesome. And they're, reading specialists and getting them back up to where they need to be so they're ready to go to third grade. So I have my youngest students at the moment. I have several second graders. And then my older students, I don't have any college students at the moment. My oldest students right now are in 10th grade. I have a couple of 10th graders, and then all in between, 5th graders, 7th graders, 9th graders, kind of all in between.
All right. So you're all over the place.
I am. I'm definitely all over the place. Yeah. And that's what, you need to think about, for a new tutor. That's some advice that I would give, is really be thinking about that, because especially when you don't specialize more, like going forward, I might feel like, okay, I need to specialize more and only concentrate on grades 7 through 12, because it's easier for me to put together this library of resources, for that grade level or those grade levels, which is very different than finding resources and putting together lessons for a 7-year-old. So it is something to take into consideration. And going forward, I might specialize only in the older kids, but for now, I'm comfortable. I'm happy. It's been a lot of fun working with the younger kids too, and it's worked out, fine. I think we're all pretty happy. So for now, I'm just going to kind of continue on with where I am. But that is one piece of advice that I'd have for someone looking to go into tutoring is to really think about what you feel most comfortable with. And even if you are comfortable tutoring kindergarten through, a 30-year-old, adult who's working on a GED, even if you're comfortable with that range and capable of it, you really have to consider the time that you'd have to put into it when you have lessons that are all over the place. I also, for me, I tutor history as well, because when I was a classroom teacher, I taught middle school history. So I'm comfortable with tutoring middle and even high school history because I had some background in it and a lot of resources with it or from it, that I brought with me from when I was teaching. But it is definitely a lot of things to think about when you begin tutoring that I maybe really didn't think about maybe quite as much as I would have, with the experience I have now.
Awesome. All right. So
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
we're starting to wind it down. We're coming towards the end now. So you touched on it a little bit, but what advice would you give to anyone who wants to become a tutor or wants to get into the business or wants to grow their business, or maybe wants tutoring as a side hustle or anything like that? What advice would you give to those people? Maybe something that you wish somebody told you, or something that you wish you knew early on, not so late in the game. So any advice that you would share to the up-and-coming tutor?
I think my biggest piece of advice would be to find a mentor. Find somebody who tutors and tutors successfully, and has done well with it, not someone who just maybe has tutored, I tutored when I was in college 30 years ago, I helped some of my classmates, that's awesome. That's great. But I would say find a mentor who actually tutors, has been tutoring recently and has, kept up with it, has been doing it for, a pretty decent period of time. Someone who plans on keeping it up because they enjoy it, and someone who's been pretty successful with it, with keeping in a constant stream of students or keeping long-term relationships, with your students. Because when you bring a student on, the best scenario there is that I've brought on this sixth grader and I'm going to tutor this sixth grader for a long time, not just maybe to get them caught up or to where they need to be, but then I want their parent to see the value that I bring, that I can help them even get ahead. That once they're where the parent wants them to be and the grades are looking the way they should be, well, now I can help with test prep. Now I can, help with, they're going to be reading such and such novel next year. Let's get on that now. Where a parent sees a value in a relationship with a tutor. So my biggest advice is to find a mentor, someone who's been successful, and then that person can help you not only set up your business, but, or give you advice about how to do it, but also just kind of serve as a sounding board for you and give you suggestions, even as far as how you're going to set up your lessons, because your lessons are really important. If you can't grab that kid, especially, if you're online, if you can't keep that kid's attention or give them a lesson that they're finding engaging, you're not going to be able to keep that student, and you're going to have that high turnover rate, which, you don't want. You want consistent long-term students. So finding a mentor, I think, is my number one piece of advice. And then also, really know your worth. Don't undersell yourself, because the reason you're tutoring is because you have a skill and a knowledge that people are willing to pay for. So don't undervalue yourself or your knowledge or the skill you have in teaching. And then I do think that if you can streamline, the grades and subjects that you want to tutor, that does make preparation a lot easier. Because if you're only going to be tutoring, say, middle school level algebra, or algebra, or middle school level math skills, if that's all you're tutoring, then you can really focus on getting those resources, and you're using, a lot of those resources, but with several different students, instead of always having to go out there and find things. Oh, I've got my first grade, just basic adding and subtracting all the way up to calculus. It can make it a lot harder. So kind of just know what you're willing to do and what you want to put into it. Maybe, think about specializing as far as your subjects and your grade levels. Know your worth and find a mentor.
Awesome advice. And thank you so much for sharing. All right, let me put up your banner here. All right, you guys. So Jennifer Darieng, she is just on the web and on Facebook right now. So if you want to reach out to her, if you're looking for those additional tutoring services, you can reach out to her. Her information is scrolling in the scrolling marquee below. And you just heard her. She talked about her specialty and the age range and the subjects that she tutors. So if you want to give her a shot, you want to try her out, definitely, reach out to her. Hit her up. Her information is there, and definitely reach out to her, and you will be talking to her and her only, and not a robot or an answering machine, but you will be talking to Jennifer. And Jennifer, I don't know if there's anything you want to share about your business.
I just, would want to share that I love tutoring. I think it shows. It's a passion. I love my students. And so if you have any tutoring needs, especially in the language arts arena, or if maybe you're a parent of a homeschooler and you need a little bit of extra help with the homeschooling, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll definitely, as Gabrielle said, we'll get back to you personally. And to anyone who's thinking about becoming a tutor, please don't hesitate to just shoot me a message on Facebook if you have a question. I'd be more than happy to let you know some of the things I did or how I got started. And otherwise, I just want to thank you, Gabrielle, so much for the opportunity to talk about my business and to talk with you tonight. It was a lot of fun.
And thank you for coming on, and thank you for chatting it up with me. And again, to the viewers, her information is scrolling below in the marquee. Just where's my finger? Gonna get over there.
There you go. You got it.
Wait. There it is. That's on there. And for those of you watching this on our YouTube channel, her information will be in the description. All right, Jennifer, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
All right, let me place you backstage now. And you guys, it is just you and I. So this is a episode where we're sharing resources. So Jennifer Darieng is one resource, and now I'm going to share another resource, which is myself and my company. So I'm going to put up my information here. And we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. So wherever you are watching this episode, whether that is on our social media, whether that's on our website, wherever you are watching this episode, please check out our platform for more videos and clips. And don't forget to follow us. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us, whatever the button is, press that button. Just stay in touch with us. And while you're at it, let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section below or in the comment thread. And as a reminder, this web series is a production of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you would like to learn more about us, you want to learn about our services, our workshops, the things that we have to offer, our information is scrolling at the bottom of your screen, but I will say our website. It is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. I also encourage you to sign up for our email list or our texting list. You will receive exclusive offers and announcements and promotions when you sign up for the email list, the texting list, or both, either one or both. But when you sign up for the email list and the texting list, I encourage you to sign up for both. Why not? You will receive exclusive access to our promotions and our discounts. So definitely sign up for that. So normally I would hustle y'all for some money, but today is a special episode. So I know you might be thinking, wait, you're a tutoring company. Why are you here promoting another tutoring company? Why are you promoting your competition? And I believe that I would rather not see other companies as competition, but rather as allies, as colleagues. So, I'm sharing my information. I'm sharing Jennifer's information. So all of this is just resources for you. And if one company doesn't work out, there's others out there. So all of this is in the name of love. So, so all of this is in the name of love, and we're all in this together. We're all suffering together. So, so it's not about, promoting the competition. It's about promoting colleagues and allies, and that's what this episode is all about. Alrighty, so with that said, I'm now going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. So now, I am signing off.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.